What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So today we're going to go over a bunch of stuff that includes some retail listings for Switch games that weren't actually Switch games until they've been listed, and to be honest, they're pretty easy to believe, mostly because of the company behind them, so we'll go over that. Also seeing Capcom bring a franchise to Nintendo platform that's never been there before, and of course, State of Play. We'll be talking a lot about that one since it looks like it's going to be a bit better than the VR State of Play, if you will. That one wasn't as good. As always, guys, enjoy these videos. Make sure you hit the like button and get subscribed as we do gaming news every single weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We're actually going to start today with Microsoft and the Xbox because they actually put out a tweet on their Twitter account that you see here. It's a full video and it just says, "And now your wait begins, stay tuned." And most likely, based on the video that we've seen here, it's something to do with Game of Thrones, which makes sense. I mean, we're in the final season for Game of Thrones. It's coming up on the last few episodes, basically. So the hype is at an all-time high right now. And it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft has either a special edition controller or a special edition system ready to go. I would actually lean more towards a controller, just because generally a system would also be packaged with a game of some kind or something, and I think this is mostly like a special edition item of some kind. And of course, Microsoft loves their controllers. They keep releasing them, so yes, my money's on a controller, but a special edition Xbox One, whether it's an X or an S, also wouldn't surprise me. We also found out a bit more about when we're going to find out about Call of Duty 2019. It is a bit odd that we haven't found anything out about this yet, considering, I mean, it's coming out at the end of this year, although I think we mostly know what it's going to be. It's probably going to be the next Modern Warfare 4, but still, usually we find out in May, later on in the month, what Call of Duty is going to be this year, and that could still happen, but it looks like we're definitely going to be seeing something about it at E3, as we'd expect. But they did put out this tweet here that says, "Announcing the first E3 Coliseum event, join the Infinity Ward team for a panel discussing the next installment of the critically acclaimed Call of Duty franchise. Get your tickets now." And most likely they'll have a full panel. They'll talk about the changes, anything new, a campaign, which we believe will be there with Infinity Ward. So that'll at least be cool for Call of Duty fans, but don't rule out the possibility of a reveal later on this month, since they generally will do that around this time, and then going into E3, they won't have to fully introduce the game. They can just show it off, maybe talk about some extra features around the multiplayer and the campaign, rather than not only have to announce it, but then go through everything. So if we can just get an announcement for Modern Warfare 4, most likely, as we're hearing, with some sort of 1 to 2 minute trailer, just to get us primed, ready to go for E3, I think that's a better idea than just trying to do everything at once. And while we're talking about reveals, it looks like another Ghost Recon is happening, or at least an expansion to Wildlands. Most likely, I think it's the next Ghost Recon game, as you're seeing here. The Twitter account for Ghost Recon simply says, "Calling all ghosts, tune into the Ghost Recon world premiere event May 9th at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, and it's to watch official announced trailer on May 9th. And it really just shows kind of the skull and everything there, and that's about it. A lot of people are wondering if this is Wildlands 2. I think it's going to just be a whole nother Ghost Recon. I was originally hoping that it would be like before we, of course, see it's Ghost Recon and everything, when Ubisoft was just saying, "Oh, new announcement." Of course, myself, like everyone else, is probably thinking, "Oh, please be Splinter Cell." We keep seeing, references to it in Assassin's Creed, Ghost Recon, Far Cry. We're seeing so many nods to the series, and I was hoping it would be Splinter Cell. It looks like it's me, Ghost Recon. Fine. I mean, Ghost Recon Wildlands was good, so another one would be cool as well, but I'm ready for Splinter Cell, and if they're going to be doing a Ghost Recon, and then I guess a Watch Dogs, I don't know if there's room for Splinter Cell this year, so we might just go another E3 with no Splinter Cell to be seen. That's kind of a shame. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're gonna start with State of Play, right away, because this looks like it's gonna be much better than the one we had before. The one we had before wasn't great, let's be honest. Even though it had a lot of VR stuff, so if you're into VR, you were probably really happy with it. It didn't really have much else. I mean, they finished up with Mortal Kombat 11. What was that? But this one looks like it's going to be almost their E3 type direct, because they're not going to be at E3, and this looks like it's going to have more updates on their games that they're working on right now. Medieval appears to be there, and then a few other things as well. So let's actually start with the announcement. When is this happening? Well, they're going to have this event May 9th, 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's this Thursday, so in 2 days. And it's going to be a quick show. About 10 minutes or so is what they're saying, although apparently the Japanese account's saying 15 minutes, so I would say anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. They're saying there will be an extended look at Medieval, which is exciting because I want to see more about that game. I want to see when it's coming out, of course. That'll be neat. And then they'll also have other updates and announcements from upcoming PlayStation 4 games. Now, Daniel Ahmed also put out, and he knows some of this stuff because he even was mentioning that this week would be a little more fun than last week when not much happened. And here we are with State of Play, some announcements for Switch games. A lot of stuff is at least happening right now. He has mentioned that there will be a few things. There'll be one game that's just announced that's like new. Now, I've heard the game might not be this big over the top, wow, amazing thing, but there will be apparently one game that's announced. But there'll also be a third-party game that's been forgotten about, is how it's been described, essentially. It was announced a long time ago, and I already know, if you're a Sony fan, you're already thinking it too. Deep Down has been missing in action since 2013 or something. This is a game that was announced forever ago. I mean, I think this was announced at the same time the PlayStation 4 was revealed in February of 2013. It's been forever. This is from Capcom. It's supposed to be a dungeon crawler RPG, action RPG type game. And it's kind of disappeared. So if this is where they show it off again and it is slated for this year, maybe, that would be pretty awesome. I say slated for this year because that means it would have been in development forever. So I hope it's not a 2020 game. If they do show it again, I hope it's a game for this year. And then that might, especially if it's PlayStation 4 exclusive, that might give them a bit more time to get Death Stranding and things like Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima ready to go. Because I feel like there will be something with Death Stranding, probably a quick trailer that's just leaves us again more questions, as Kojima was doing a bit of teasing on Twitter with him working with an Adobe Premiere timeline. So most likely there will be some Death Stranding trailer there for a minute, and I don't think we'll get a release date. I don't know if Last of Us 2 will be there at all, because they were still doing mocap. Ghost of Tsushima could be there with another minute trailer, but if I had to pick between the big three, which one is the most likely to get a release date on Thursday? I'm kind of leaning towards Ghost of Tsushima, to be honest. That's what I'm leaning towards. I think Death Stranding is still taking its time. Last of Us 2, I don't think it's going to be ready this year now that I've been looking more and more into their status updates. That might end up being next year. It might even be a game that comes out around the time that the PlayStation 5 comes out, 2020. And then they just have a patch that just makes it so it looks good on the PlayStation 5 as well. But I'm excited for State of Play. It looks like it's going to be quick, and it looks like they're going to have a lot of Sony stuff that's not just all VR and Mortal Kombat 11 or something. Stuff we already knew about, and then stuff we didn't really care too much to see. But exciting stuff. Let me know what you guys think about what could be there and what you'd like to see there. Next up, let's talk about a franchise that is now hitting a Nintendo platform that's never been there before, and that is Devil May Cry. Capcom put out this tweet on the Devil May Cry 5 account, which is kind of funny because it's not Devil May Cry 5. It's just the first Devil May Cry, but I guess it could have been worse because it could have been Devil May Cry 2, right? I guess that's a thing. But this is actually the tweet that they put out here. Relive the adventure that introduced the legendary Dante to the world with the original Devil May Cry coming to Nintendo Switch this summer. There's a lot of stuff missing from here. There's no release date straight up, just says summer. There's also no price, and I think I know why. I think this is going to be pricier than most of us would like. Now, Capcom is, of course, selling Resident Evil 4 for $30 on the Switch, and I think that's too much. I think a lot of people probably agree, right, that is a bit too much. I feel like Devil May Cry 1 should be like $15, and then I expect it to be $20 to $30. It sounds crazy, but those are my expectations because it's Capcom, and they haven't done much to change those expectations. So if it shows up, it comes out, and it's $14.99, I'll be pleasantly surprised. If it's $19.99 or $24.99, I'll say, well, yep, that's Capcom, and just kind of keep moving. But why would they just be bringing one out, not like the trilogy, the HD remaster they did, or anything like that? Most likely it's because they know they can sell them individually, separately, one at a time, and make more money because that's just kind of what they've done at this point. And it's not Devil May Cry 5, although I don't know if they have any plans of actually doing that, but this does put Devil May Cry and Dante, of course, on the Switch, and now everyone's turning to Smash and saying, does that mean that Dante could end up in Smash Bros? And I mean, technically, yeah, I guess there's nothing really stopping it at this point. Would they put that game on the Switch just to technically qualify him because they've already decided it? That's possible too. I mean, they already had them decided apparently. There's a chance they went to Capcom and said, hey, we want to do Dante and Smash. Let's move one of those games over so we can have it on there. It's on a Nintendo platform. You'll sell copies, obviously, because the character will be in Smash. We'll get royalties. It seems like everything is it's pretty cut and dry on that. But it would be cool to see him in there. I don't know if it's guaranteed, obviously, just because of this. I wouldn't be shocked if Devil May Cry 3 comes over. I think that's the one that should be here, to be honest, over 1 even. I think it should just be the third one because I think they're just going to skip 2 because 2 is not very good. So why would you bring over 2? 3 is the next obvious choice. I don't know if they'll do anything with 4 and so on, but to see at least Capcom do this is a good thing, but we gotta wait for price, because if price is out of control, it's just Capcom just really taking advantage of the situation, I would say. So let's keep an eye on that price and see what they deliver here. Next up, EB Games Canada. Well, there's one thing we can count on. It's apparently stores in Canada, Walmart Canada, for example, just telling us about games, just straight up, like just leaking games out there, putting them up. Now, of course, a retailer doesn't necessarily mean that a game is coming to the system. It usually means that for some reason in their system, it is set up as such, and a lot of times it'll automatically post the website after updates have been pushed to their computer system. And the reason this one's drawing so much interest is because it shouldn't surprise anyone that these games are happening, because it's THQ Nordic. THQ Nordic seems to love the Switch right now. They're moving everything over. So I'm not shocked right now to hear that they might be bringing over Biomutant and Darksiders 2. Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition makes a ton of sense. Darksiders 1 moved over. It actually seemed to sell okay because it was up on like the eShop charts. And Biomutant is a game that we saw at like, what, 2 Gamescom ago? Like 2017? It was playable, and then it disappeared. And we haven't really heard much about it. It sounded like they were trying to get some of the gameplay and bugs and balancing figured out. But it's an Unreal Engine 4 game, and to be honest, they might have taken a look at the Switch and said, you know what? It's gonna go back in the cooker for a little bit. Let's get a Switch port done. Hasn't been announced yet, but we are heading into E3, and this is around the time that retailers will start to get these updates, and they'll just get pushed out. So don't necessarily look at Biomutant and say it's absolutely happening, but I'll tell you now, look at Darksiders 2 and say, yeah, that's probably happening. Biomutant, though, if it shows up, really shouldn't surprise us. It's THQ Nordic, it's Unreal Engine 4, and THQ Nordic is pushing a lot of stuff over. So if Biomutant shows up day and date, it gets shown off more or less at E3 and it's coming out this holiday, that would be cool because, to be honest, the game looked pretty interesting. It still looked kind of rough when they showed it off, but if they've taken time to kind of work on it this past year and a half, I'll be giving it another look because it looked at least interesting enough from what they were showing back in 2017, early 2018. And our last bit of news, let's talk about a patent that Microsoft seems to have filed that actually kind of goes alongside their adaptive controller that was great for gamers who had a hard time with standard controllers from disabilities or whatnot. This is a really cool idea. Now, the adaptive controller is awesome. It's a really cool piece of technology. Great work by Microsoft to make all of that happen. But then we see this patent here. Check this thing out. This appears to be a controller that uses Braille on the back, and it constantly adjusts itself so that gamers who are blind or have other visual impairments can read the text by touching the back of the controller. That is actually one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen for an idea like this with a controller. It's super creative. They have extra, the paddles on the back and everything. And the patent says the controller will also be able to convert speech to Braille as well, so that would allow people who are playing to communicate in chat, or if they're live streaming or anything like that, or you could talk to teammates. That is really, really cool. That's a great idea. Super creative. Now, this is just a patent, so to see it actually work in real time or in person would be interesting enough, and I don't know if it would work as easily as described in this patent, specifically the updating and how fast it can update on the back of the controller and all of that, that'll all work out. But I like the idea, I like the thinking that Microsoft is putting into this to make it so everyone can play games. This is just a really cool initiative that Microsoft seems to keep following through on. Again, it's a patent, but it's a really cool look into what Microsoft is trying to accomplish right now in gaming. And let's finish up today with the comment of the day from yesterday. This one, as you're seeing here, is actually from Blind Valkyrie saying, I'm gonna factory reset my old phone for that QR code app during BlizzCon. And this is talking about how Blizzard, for whatever reason with BlizzCon, is making you download an application that has a ton of access to your phone, contacts, information, your connections, like everything, and it seems to be passing information around to them and most likely third parties, let's be honest. It's basically spyware. That's a good idea, actually, and this is something that people brought up in the comments. Other people brought up to me as well. Use a burner phone. If you have like an old phone that you upgraded from, I guess you could technically connect to Wi-Fi, factory reset it, sign in with some junk email or something that I guess you use to sign up for this, and then just use that. Use a burner phone when it's all done and you go home, factory reset it, get that app off there and just put it back in the drawer and I guess use it for the year after or something. It's a weird situation that Blizzard is putting people in because there are people who just want to go to BlizzCon and not have to think about this weird spyware app on their phone that they're required to use. It's like we're trying to problem solve to go to a convention for this app that's on your phone when all you should really have to worry about doing is getting tickets and just showing up with them. It's such a weird situation, and I just hope that Blizzard doesn't mess up again at BlizzCon with the actual content there. Like, people are flying out, they're paying all this money, give them Diablo 4, right? Don't show them another mobile game. Ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, make sure you hit the like button. It does help out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's state of play, what do you think is gonna be there, and will be better than last time. I feel like it can't be worse, so it probably has to be better, I guess. What about all those listings, whether it's Biomutant, right, or Darksiders 2? Or what do you think about Devil May Cry 1, just one, coming over to the Switch? Do you want the others, or do you want Capcom to stop breaking these things up, give us just one package and sell it? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.